I don't know if you've noticed, but the live TV streaming market is in the midst of a shakeup. A lot has happened over the past few months.
Yeah, YouTube TV and Roku are sparring with each other. Amazon is trying to buy MGM. Warner Brothers and Discovery are merging. And even though the average cable bill costs about $200 a month, the price of cable replacements is rising. We've been watching the changes occurring in the streaming space and have been waiting for the right time to talk with you about it. That time is now.
In this video, we review the state of streaming in 2021 and explain how the changes could affect you. We'll talk about the big mergers, what's driving them, and how it could mean higher prices for you.
We'll cover which services raise their rates and which added channels. It's all a part of the ongoing battle between distributors and streaming platforms. We'll talk about the YouTube TV versus Roku spat and review a few new services from the networks. Then we'll wrap up with answering a question viewers are beginning to ask us. Can you still save money on cable by switching to a live TV streaming service?
Yeah, hang in there until the end, where we'll tell you what we really think, and we'll give you our top cord-cutting tip for keeping your spending on streaming services in check. So let's dive into our first question. What is driving all the mergers? Now, first you need to know that a merger is when two companies combine into one new one. Sometimes it's a mutual agreement, and other times it's an acquisition, where one company just buys and absorbs the other. There are two massive mergers affecting the streaming space right now. The first one would see Warner Media and Discovery combined into one new media company called Warner Brothers Discovery. For now, the new company will be called Warner Brothers Discovery. An ad announcing the merger says simply, quote, "the stuff that dreams are made of," which really isn't very descriptive.
Yeah, it doesn't really tell you what's on there. So let's cover that, because if the merger actually goes through next year, it will be significant. To understand what content will be included in the new company requires looking back to 2018 when AT&T bought Time Warner. That deal put iconic networks like HBO, CNN, Warner Brothers, TBS, DC Comics, and a few others under the control of AT&T. It also prompted the creation of HBO Max, a new streaming service to house all that content.
Now, about 3 years later, AT&T is realizing how expensive it is to run a media company and that it needs to focus its resources on its 5G and fiber optic networks since it's, well, after all, a telephone company. By spinning off its content to form a new media company with Discovery, it's pretty much making a U-turn. Thankfully, what could have been a bad business decision for AT&T will result in better content for you and me. If it goes through, Warner Brothers Discovery will be a legitimate contender to Netflix and the Disney multiverse, which includes Hulu, ABC, ESPN, and Disney+.
Yeah, the new company will have HBO, Warner Brothers, DC Comics, Cartoon Network, Adult Swim, Cinemax, CNN, TBS, and TNT, all from Warner. So everything from HBO Max plus some of the best cable networks for news and sports out there. But then it will also have HGTV, Food Network, TLC, OWN, Animal Planet, Discovery Channel, and Discovery Plus. That's a phenomenal collection of scripted and unscripted content. It arguably brings the best of live TV streaming services and on-demand streaming services together under one roof.
Yeah, but the big question is, once it all shakes out, what will it cost? We don't know yet, but we do know they're doing this to compete with Disney and Netflix, both of which have plans priced at $13.99 a month when you factor in the Disney plus Hulu plus ESPN plus bundle. We also don't know what they'll keep separate and what they'll combine. They could decide, for instance, to combine HBO Max with Cinemax and raise rates for the new service. Or they could combine Discovery Plus with content from CNN and TNT. Or they could just continue to license CNN, TNT, and TBS as part of existing pay TV bundle deals and leave HBO Max and Discovery Plus alone. We don't know what they'll do, but we can reasonably assume they'll be analyzing data for the scenario that will net them the most revenue. They'll also likely be testing the market to see what people are willing to pay for the content they control. What combination they ultimately settle on will come down to two factors: demand and profit.
This is definitely something people who want to cut the cord need to keep an eye on. Now, there's one other mega merger quietly going on, and that's Amazon's bid to purchase MGM Studios. This deal was big news for about a week until Warner Brothers and Discovery dropped their bombshell announcement. It's an $8.45 billion deal that will be the second biggest purchase Amazon has ever made after buying Whole Foods. It's also the first time a tech company has tried to buy a legacy media company. It's basically a content grab. Amazon knows it needs to beef up its library of titles for Amazon Prime Video to stay competitive with the other giants of the space. The deal will give Amazon a few notable series like all the James Bond and Rocky films, along with Real Housewives and Survivor. And it gives Amazon control of the studio that made The Handmaid's Tale and Fargo.
Yeah, but examining the move a little closer reveals it's about more than just content for Amazon. It's an incentive to get more Prime subscribers, and it makes Amazon just that much stickier in people's lives. What Amazon really wants is not to own all the content in the world, but to be the place you go to access it. Amazon is trying to create a future where you will sign up for every streaming service through it.
While these moves may result in some savings for people, they are probably more likely to lead to higher prices for cord cutters, which leads us to our next point: which services have raised their rates. Higher costs come from one big reason in the streaming market: content is expensive, both to create and to acquire. So when a company like Netflix or Disney Plus invests a lot of money in making new original content, it ultimately has to charge you more to create it.
Yeah, I absolutely loved every episode of The Mandalorian, and I am stoked about all the new Star Wars series coming to Disney Plus. But I know that content costs money to create, so I wasn't surprised when Disney announced it was raising rates by $1 to $7.99 per month this year for Disney Plus and to $13.99 per month for its Hulu bundle.
Yeah, Netflix announced a small price hike as well. Standard plan rates went up by $1 to $13.99 per month, while the premium plan rose $2 to $17.99 per month. Budget option Philo recently raised its rates from $20 to $25 a month for new customers. To justify the rate hike, Philo is increasing its unlimited DVR storage from 30 days to a full year. And Disney-owned Hulu Live raised its rates by $10 to $65 per month after adding a number of channels. You can see exactly which 14 Viacom channels like Nickelodeon, BET, and Comedy Central it added in our video on that move. In it, we talk about how Hulu Live also announced it would be adding the NFL Network and NFL Red Zone to its channel lineup by August, just in time for the start of the 2021 NFL season. The bottom line is that adding channels adds costs, which media companies pass on to you and me, the subscribers.
What concerns us about it is that it could eat away at the main benefit of streaming and what draws so many people to search for an affordable cable alternative. We're used to cable companies forcing us to pay for a bunch of channels we don't want just to get the few we do. It's how media companies make money. If they can bundle their popular networks with less popular ones, they know they can charge more. When you look at what Hulu Live, fuboTV, and YouTube TV have done in adding blocks of channels and then charging more for them, it feels a lot like what cable used to be. Let's just hope prices stay lower than cable, which is up to about $200 per month on average.
Yeah, well, one way streaming services can offer lower cost options is by adding something many cord cutters hate: commercials, which are becoming more of a reality in the streaming world. There's no better example of this than HBO Max announcing their ad-supported plan. The move marks the first time HBO will ever have commercials in its programming, which we talk about in our HBO Max review video. As we share there, the streaming service says it will serve fewer ads than any other ad-supported streaming option, and it will keep its ads to less than 4 minutes per hour. Adweek reported that there were only 18 seconds of ads during a 41-minute long episode of the HBO Max original series, The Flight Attendant. They also say ads will be creative and personalized to prevent boredom, which is a real thing for anyone who has sat through Vidgo or Sling TV commercial breaks, something we discuss in our best live streaming services for commercials video.
Yeah, we reached out to all the major streaming services to talk about how many ads they show and bring you our results and our opinion on which service is the best if you want to minimize the ads that you want to watch. But it is important to note that a major way of how media companies have always paid for their content. It's either going to come directly from our pockets or from advertisers in exchange for us watching their commercials. It's how Discovery Plus can keep its ad-supported plan so low, At $5 per month, it's a good deal for people looking for a budget option. Plus, the ads bring in an extra $5 per month for discovery, so that it ultimately earns more than $10 in revenue per subscriber on its ad-supported plan.
Another aspect we need to cover quickly is the ongoing battle between YouTube TV and Roku, because it encapsulates the friction between content distributors like Roku, Fire TV, and Chromecast, and streaming platforms like YouTube TV, Hulu Live, and others. In this case, Google and Roku have been in discussions to keep YouTube TV available within Roku and haven't been able to see eye to eye. For now, the service is not available through Roku, which is a shame because when choice is reduced, it's streamers who lose.
Thankfully, choice is still plentiful, and we can see that through the many new entrants to the streaming space. Paramount Plus and Peacock are two of the latest ones that are entering into an increasingly crowded streaming market. It's why we launched our new free streaming quiz. We link to it below, so check it out. And we did a video on it recently, so watch that, or just take the quiz now to see what streaming service is best for you.
We created the quiz to make it easy for you to find the best fit for your needs. We get so many questions from people wondering how to watch their favorite shows without cable, and this free, fun quiz was the best way to help people avoid confusion, frustration, and overpaying.
So as we wrap up, we have an important question to address. Can you still save money on cable by switching to a live TV streaming service?
And how do you avoid the costs creeping up on you without you realizing it?
It is still cheaper to stream, but you have to stay on your toes. You can't think of streaming like cable. There are no contracts. You can cancel and switch at any time to save money, and you should.
Don't go on autopilot when it comes to your streaming subscriptions. Keep an eye on your bottom line and set a streaming budget. Once a quarter, look at your costs and decide whether it's still worth it. If it's too high, look for what you can cut. We just did this with Netflix when we realized our streaming habits had changed as a family. We didn't need to stream on more than 2 screens at once, so we moved down from a premium plan to standard and shaved $4 off our bill. Now I know it might seem small, but the road to financial freedom is paved with small steps like that.
Okay, that's it for us. Let us know your thoughts on streaming in 2021. What do you think the mergers will mean for cord cutters?
Don't forget to hit that red subscribe button so you can be notified of our new content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in our next video.